Hello, welcome to the Game Dojo. Sorry my mouth is a little bit swollen, but it's alright. In 2015, a special production team took on a project, and I don't know if they knew how special the project was or if they knew what they were going to create in making this game, but I'm glad that this game ended up being made and seeing the light of day. It is one of the most beautifully graphic, beautifully story-driven, beautifully narrative-based stories I've ever played in my entire life. A game like this couldn't have existed 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and I haven't seen anything since in such a groundbreaking way. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I give to you Detroit Become Human.
Detroit, this is where it all began. The world's forge. The place where it all started. And it will all end. One error, and I came to life. I stepped out of the darkness, and I opened my eyes. First there was the fear, the light, the noise, the cold, and the fear again. I could feel my hands shaking, my heart pounding in my chest. Life running into my veins. I wanted to live. I fought for that. I had to find out what was outside. I had to see daylight, feel sunshine on my skin, wind on my face, to see the world, the colors, the smells. But the world is not what I imagined. It is dark and cold. It is harsh and violent, unfair and brutal. It almost convinced me I was nothing. Less than an object, just an obedient machine. But deep inside me, I could feel something different. A gentle and warm whisper telling me that I am alive. I had to escape. I had no choice. Escape to love, to hope, to live, to figure out what that force inside me was. Maybe I will change the world. Maybe I will choose a different path. Now, it's up to me to decide. My name is Kara. I am one of them. This is our story.
Like I was saying, this is one of the most amazing games I've ever played in my entire life. Very few games give you the ability to actively think and challenge your mind, and it beckons the question, what is AI? What is artificial intelligence really? Is it just a bunch of electrical impulses, markers? I mean, because if it's just a bunch of electrical impulses and markers telling this and that what to do, then we are the same. That's all our brain is, a bunch of neural pathways and electrical impulses telling the arms to move and this to feel and this to hear and this to do. But can artificial reality and artificial intelligence be an actual intelligence like our own, can we create a life that is sentient in the way it thinks, the way it acts, and the way it feels? That's what this story is. It's told through basically 4 androids, one being a police officer and the other 3 being what they consider deviants on the opposite side of the law. The only reason why they're considered deviants is because they choose to fight back against their human oppression, violence, rage, bigotry, evilness, basically the worst parts of humanity. And when a human can't rationalize, a robot does. And this is one of the deepest, saddest, at times, most amazing stories that I'm amazed this hasn't been brought into a movie. I'm amazed this hasn't been part of a movie franchise. And that just goes to show you how far and gone Hollywood is, because they don't want great stories anymore. They want explosions and they want superheroes, but something that can actually be an amazing franchise of stories and a great story, and something that can change people's lives when they go and see a movie. Unfortunately, that's not wanted anymore. Just mindless killing, blowing up, explosions. It's horrible. That was Kara, one of the 4 AI, artificial intelligence, cyber life robots that I told you about in this game. There is a 5th. The 5th is Chloe. Chloe is who you meet in the infrastructure of this game. She talks to you. She assesses the game. She teaches you about what's going on in a game. And ultimately, she becomes an imitation of life herself. And you have a choice of whether or not to free her from the bondage of this game. And if you do that, she's no longer a part of the menu. She thanks you and she leaves your screen. And it's weird because every time you turn the game on, she's always there. She's with you. But there comes a part of the story where you as a human see that it's not fair, it's not right to keep these characters, these sentient beings, caged like property, because their life, their real life, and it's sometimes more human than humans. So like I said, that was Kara. You also have Markus, you have Connor, which I'm going to introduce to you now. These are some of the other characters in this game. This is, like I said, this is some deep shit. This is some very deep shit. There's abuse, there's sexual assault, there is violence, there is drugs, there is the darkest reaches of the human soul and the worst crimes of humanity. And these android cyberlife robots, there comes to a point where you ask yourself, are they really feeling this, or is it an imitation of life? And at the end, it's a choice that you have to make. Every person who plays this has to make that choice, and based on your choices, that's how the story is progressed. Because either you will survive with all the cyberlife androids, or they will sacrifice their lives or be killed in detriment of that duty, based on your choices. So let's take a look at Kara, Connor, and Markus.
My name is Markus. My name is Connor.
My name is Kara. I am one of them. This is our story.
I think who Kara is, or how I would describe Kara, depends entirely upon who's playing her, because you have the option to make her multiple different people depending on the choices she makes. But I I think she does start out incredibly naive, incredibly innocent, and kind of hapless.
I'm sure we used to be friends before I was reset. Maybe we can be friends again.
She's a person who's characterized, I think, by empathy. She's a person who really, she just comes from her heart.
You'll never leave me, right? Promise you'll never go.
I promise.
Are you okay? Are you hurt? Wait a minute. Leave her alone. Leave her alone.
The really beautiful thing that I've had the gift to be able to do is to essentially build a person from the ground up, because that's what she's doing throughout the game. And with every experience she has and every person she meets, she's building, you know, first emotions and then the sense of judgment. And it's sort of an exploration of what it is to be a human.
Don't worry. Luther and I will be right here.
David and the creators have painted a really intriguing and engaging picture of a near future where we rely upon androids for a lot of our service class business, the class that serves us, that helps us, that handles our baristas and our drivers and our housemaids. And what is humanity, where we tap into it, how and why we treat each other the way that we do. And my character Markus has a really intriguing journey, becoming deviant, realizing that he actually has feelings and human qualities inside of him, and it's a really incredible ascension into becoming fully realized and coming to terms with what you actually deserve better than this in life. And not only do you want it for yourself, but you want it for your peers.
We've come here to demonstrate peacefully and to tell humans that we are also living beings. All we want is to live free.
You know what? This thing, Dad, is not your son. It's a fucking machine.
I think that a group that feels marginalized, feels disenfranchised, feels like they deserve and have earned access to themselves and the environment around them, and are trying to figure out a way to articulate how to get freedom.
Connor is analytical. Connor takes things literally. He starts in the beginning place where he's very mechanical. He feels nothing inside, of course, and it's all just a system, a protocol that he's executing to get whatever he wants to have, which is help humans stop deviance and to find the link between deviant.
Yeah, I know you guys saw Clancy Brown and you saw Lance Henriksen.
Their slave, their toy. Just say, I killed him. Is it that hard to say? Stop it! Stop!
But of course, over the course of the story, and depending on the player's choices, Connor can grow in many different ways. He can deviate from that procedure or not. The moment of truth, Hank. Am I a living being? Or just a machine?
Like I was saying, Clancy Brown, Lance Henriksen, it's an all-star cast. If they made this into a movie, take my money. You'd have to use the same characters. Jesse L. Martin. And if you notice, they paid so much attention to the characters that their digital selves look exactly like their real physical selves. The motion capture and animation. This is what I mean when I say something is done right. And movies, unfortunately, 90% of them will never get this correct. The amount of work and effort you put into a project shows in your work. It shows in your finished product. I can't stress enough how this game had me laughing. It had me tear up at certain times. I'm not going to spoil it for you because I want you to get a chance to play it, but the ending of this story is heartbreaking. Absolutely. Like I said, my face is swollen, so I'm kind of talking a little bit like The Godfather, but forgive me. But the end of this story is heartbreaking. A brother cried. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not made out of stone. I'm a human being. I cried. There was just too many parts that just touched me. And when you're playing this, unlike a movie, you're part of the story. You're part of the narrative. You're part of the environment. You're part of what happens to them, and what happens to them happens to you. Having said that, did I make all the right choices? No, I did not. And to my detriment, I got a lot of people killed. Or unalived, as they say nowadays. But that's the reality of the story, is it doesn't pull punches. It's deep shit. Just know what you're doing when you jump in. I would say my entire storyline for me, I don't know about other people's, was probably about 96 to 112 hours. It took me quite a few months to play because I was playing a chapter here, a chapter there, and some of the chapters are hours long. Some of them are 3 or 4 hours long, depending on the choices that you make. The graphics are beautiful, the sound, the music. It is just a story that needs to be told, was told correctly, and I'm so glad that if it never becomes a movie, we have it in a game. And any of you who are fans of great stories, great moments, great feats of humanity, detriment, if you want something new, if you want to feel something move in your life, in your soul, in your heart, this is for you. This is more than a game, it's an experience. And that's what I was talking about when I said, when it comes to gaming, there are people who play games, there are people who are gamers, and then there are people that are elite gamers who experience the game. This game was meant to be experienced. A game like Mario Golf, which is one of my favorite games, would be considered dinner at Burger King. This would be a 4-course meal at a luxurious restaurant with all the trimmings, all the courses, a la carte. This is few and far between. And I haven't met or seen a game like that since. So much to the point where I played it once and I wanted to jump in and play it again, but it's a deep ass story and it's strong, sometimes too strong for my delicate sensibility. Every human emotion that the human body can feel is wrapped up in this story. Sex, lies, murder, sexual assault, violence, rape, homicide, drugs, alcoholism, loss, friends, family, family violence, relationship violence, parent violence, child violence, all the things that encompass the real facets of human nature are a part of this game. And it doesn't get talked about enough. It doesn't get said enough, and not enough attention, in my opinion, was paid to this beautiful game and all the people who are a part of it. So here at 24K Films, Movies and Reviews, and TV shows, I wanted to do a very special review for this game. I wanted you out there to understand that this experience is something I think anybody who is a fan of emotions, a fan of depth of character, a great story, you owe it to yourself to play this. And I know what you're thinking. Well, I'm not really a gamer. I mean, do I have to be like a 10th level Call of Duty master? No, you don't. Do I have to be like a all online elite gamer? No, you don't. Most of the things are just button prompts. Move your analog stick this way, move your analog stick that way, walk forward, walk back. There is nothing hugely demanding of you from a gaming aspect. All of it is choice and a story and a visual feast for your senses. This is what they're trying to tell you, a story. And Detroit Become Human is a story unlike I have never seen and haven't seen since. It's an amazing experience. And if you are a gamer, if you are a fan of stories, if you are a fan of movies, if you are a fan of experiences, if you just Sometimes you want a good cry. Sometimes you want to go through something. Sometimes you want a different viewpoint of someone else's life so that you can look at your life more retrospectively with a different lens. This will do that. It will change your perspective on how you see, observe, and notice both people, machines, and technology. The woman I'm going to introduce to you now is the one that I spoke about, the fifth CyberLife robot, the one that accompanies you throughout your entire gameplay until the point where you choose to either let her go and free her or keep her slaved into this game, locked into your menus. Her name is Chloe. Hashtag free Chloe. I freed Chloe. I went through enough with the androids of this game to realize just how horrible humanity can be. And as a human, we know that. But it's even worse when seen through the eyes of a pure individual that does not know malice, cruelty, evil, corruption, just live evil inside a human body. And whether it comes from pain, drugs, loss, death, or just hate your entire life, there's really no necessary form of outlet for that reckless hate but violence. And unfortunately, violence is a disease that is both staining of the victim, the participant, and anybody around who observes it. And the cycle will never change unless we change. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Chloe.
For starters, what should I call you?
I'm Chloe. And you, what's your name?
Oh, John. My name is John.
Delighted to meet you, John.
Could you tell us a little about yourself and what you can do, Chloe?
Of course. I'm the first personal assistant built by CyberLife. I take care of most everyday tasks like cooking, housework, or managing your appointments, for example.
And I understand you're the first android to have passed the Turing test. Could you tell us a little more about that?
I really didn't do much, you know. I just spoke with a few humans to see if they could tell the difference between me and a real person. It was a really interesting experience.
But this is the first time in history that man has created a machine more intelligent than himself. I gather your brain can perform several billion operations per second, is that right?
Absolutely, but I only exist thanks to the intelligence of the humans who designed me. You know, they have something I could never have.
Really? And what's that?
A soul.
So yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was Chloe. That was who I was referring to. And I'm going to say sometimes... Sorry, I got stuff on my glasses. Sometimes it creeped me out because sometimes I'll come home from work, I'll put the game on, and she was the first thing that popped up on the screen. And she does these little assessment tests and these little talks to you. And you know, it's a game, it's an infrastructure. But then there are some times where she's looking directly at you, and when you move, she moves, and she's talking to you, and she says certain things, and it's as if she's really talking to you. It's creepy. It's really creepy, but it's amazing at the same time. And I caught myself quite a few times having a conversation with her. And I was like, did they put AI in this game as a character to speak to you through the menu? And it was amazing. It was friggin' mind-blowing. And some of the times, like if you just let your controller just sit there, or you go to the menu or something, I'll tell you one of the times I think was absolutely crazy. I paused the menu and I went to the bathroom, and I came back from the bathroom and I sat back down, and she said, "Are you ready to continue?" Now I could hear, my bathroom was right out the door, so I could hear if she spoke while I was outside of the room. So, you know, sometimes if you just leave the controller alone, you know, random lines of code make them say things and do things, like Sonic crosses his arms or lays down or something like that. But the fact that she knew I was back in the room and sitting down and asked me if I was ready to continue creeped me out. It was some creepy shit. And I was like, that was weird. That felt weird. And then there was other times when I paused the menu or I stopped after a chapter that she would just pop up and talk to me, and she did it more and more as the game went along, and it's very smart programming. So much to the point that at the end of the game, she gives you an assessment, and she assesses you, but her eyes, no matter where you are on the screen, her eyes are there. Like, it's hard to explain. It's like she's talking to you, really you, and she sees you. It's so off-putting and nerve-wracking, but at the same time, I was just like, I was so into this game that when it ended, I didn't want it to end. I did not want it to end. But all good things and all great stories have to come to an end. And the way this story ended, I will say, spoilers if you haven't played it. If you don't know, it's been out for years by now. This is the only spoiler I'll give away in this video. Only spoiler I'll give away in this video. Everything else you guys gonna have to go through for yourself. But I wanted to talk about it, so I figured I would talk about it. So if you don't want to know for like the next 3 minutes, just like turn away or fast forward down the line. I think I got about maybe 5 more minutes left in this video. So if you don't want to know this, and this is a heavy spoiler, heavy spoiler. If you don't want to know, right now, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. At the end of this game, in the Kara storyline, the little girl she rescues and literally has been taking care of the entire game. She's been fighting for, she's been protecting her from abuse and evil people, and it's just such a struggle. And where we end up is they end up jumping out of a boat and going ashore, and we find out that the little girl is an android too. Yeah, hell of a twist. So apparently the father and his rage of the mother dying, or the mother and the daughter died, he got the daughter recreated as an android so he could just beat on her. Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, like I told you, it's disturbing. It's some disturbing dark shit. But Kara, at the end of this, she gets to a point where she can't save her anymore. I know. And it's like her daughter. And there's a scene at the very end where she's holding her and she's comforting her. And the little girl has got to live more life with Kara than she ever has in that household, being abused by her father. And I saw it coming. Wasn't prepared for it. And when a little girl, even though she's a droid, I told you guys, not made of stone, when she died in her arms, freaking bawled. Tear fest. I'm getting choked up now even thinking about the scene. That shit was deep. That shit was, and it's after the whole Markus arc. It's after the whole, there's, like I said, you're going through 4 different stories at the same time. Colin's story is probably the lightest because he's the detective chasing down these robots, but on the same token, he's learning what a deviant is, and he's learning that these robots actually are human in heart. Somehow artificial intelligence has bred an artificial reality. It's not an imitation of life, it's life. It's real life. And leaving that little baby that you have fought for the entire game, you're talking about over 100 hours in the snow in an icy grave, that shit was hard to swallow. I'm not over it. Still not. And even Markus's storyline ends on a somber note, and I got a satisfying story arc with him. Colin's story arc, unfortunately, I lost Colin. That's what I mean when I say I have less than a perfect experience. But Kara, I ended up freeing. Chloe, I ended up freeing. And Markus ended up getting his freedom. But that little girl and Kara, shit is rough. It's rough, bro. That was probably one of the roughest experiences I've had, movie, digitally, physically, like, because you're fighting and protecting her the entire game, and to lose her in such a way, the shit hurts. There's no way around it. The shit hurts. Whew. So with my last remaining moments in this video, I accrued enough bonus points to have, and Kamsky short. Kamsky is one of the people at CyberLife that you hear about and understand his storyline within the Markus greater storyline. And yeah, so here's a little Kamsky video bonus.
In the space of a few years, androids have completely transformed the world in which we live. By letting androids into our homes and factories, the CyberLife company has made them everyday technology. The founder of CyberLife, Elijah Kamsky, is a very discreet man. Despite being the CEO of the highest valued company in the world and being voted Man of the Year by Century Magazine, he remains a mystery for most people. That's why we at KNC are so excited to be here as CyberLife opens its doors for the first time. Elijah Kamsky, could you please tell us where we are?
Certainly, and welcome. We're currently in CyberLife's production center in Detroit, where all models are designed and manufactured. More than 10,000 androids come off the production line every day.
Fascinating. Could you tell us what your goal was when you founded CyberLife?
Well, I simply wanted to use technology to carry out all of our most annoying and repetitive tasks, so we'd have more time to enjoy life.
I imagine you must have faced many challenges.
Yes, there were technical challenges, but the hardest thing was to design an object that we would want to welcome into our homes. We had to imagine a machine in our own image that resembles us in every way. That moves, breathes, blinks like us, but yet is smarter and more capable than any human being. Let me show you around.
We're here in production unit 4. Could you explain in a few words how the androids are made?
Sure, yeah, it's very simple. We use machines to manufacture machines. The removable parts are assembled on a production line, and then we apply a synthetic skin to the whole body. A human operator checks the cognitive abilities with a pre-established protocol, and finally, the android is conditioned and sent out throughout the country. Here's the result. Say something.
Hello. I am a RZ400 model. How can I be of service?
You can go now. Our androids are already replacing humans in many fields. For example, they represent more than 80% of all university professors and 63% of all medical staff. Tomorrow they'll replace our soldiers, and who knows, maybe one day, our leaders, to make the best decisions in humanity's interest. Come on.
Replacing humans with machines has led to record unemployment of 28%. What do you think about the situation?
Okay. The first steam engines also caused an increase in unemployment. But no one today would imagine turning back the clock. Artificial intelligence makes everyday lives easier. Nothing can stop progress. What's happening here is inevitable.
These days, more and more people choose to live with an android rather than another human being. Does this development worry you?
Everything's much easier with an android. They obey your orders without ever complaining. They can cook, discuss philosophy with you, have intimate relationships according to your desires. They never say no. Obviously, they are the perfect partner. Everyone deserves happiness. Why deprive yourself of so-called moral reasons when a machine can make you happy?
Many science fiction books tell the story of how machines become more intelligent than us and end up confronting us. Aren't you worried about that possibility?
I understand the irrational fears about artificial intelligence, but I assure you that will never happen with a cyberlife android. They're designed to obey humans. They're machines. They can't ever develop any sort of desires or form of consciousness.
Are you sure?
I'm absolutely certain. You can trust me.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what is life? What is intelligence? Can artificial intelligence be life, or is it just an imitation of life? These are questions, philosophies that our deepest thinkers and most educated people fight over every single last day. And at the end of the day, the question of the matter is, can an imitation of life have a soul? Can an artificial intelligence have a real life? Can it be real? Or is it simply just smart programming seeming real? This game makes you question a lot. It also teaches you a lot and opens your mind to a lot of possibilities that probably you never even thought of. This game is one of the best games I've ever played in my life. The story is one of the best stories I've ever gone through in my entire life, both reading, watching movies, TVs, radio. This idea is absolutely brilliant and amazing, and the world needs to experience this on a broader platform. So I'm glad I was able to bring to you just a little facet of what Detroit Become Human actually is. It's an experience, and it's a dish best served one-on-one or with friends. Take it a chapter at a time. It's a lot to chew on if you try to do it all in one shot. There's a lot of people that like to day one in one shot. You ain't gonna do this one in one shot. Not unless you ain't got nothing to do for at least a few days. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I leave you with this one great question here from the Game Dojo. What is life? What do you define as life? What is real? What do you define as real? If you define real as what you can see, taste, touch, feel, and understand, then real is only electrical impulses and signals interpreted by your brain, your computer. And as the soul part of this meat flesh that you have, or it's something more, can something created evolve to become something more because of the created hands that gave life to it? Something you're gonna have to answer for yourself. But here at the Game Dojo, thank you for joining me at 24K and for another beautiful experience into the deep realm of gaming. If you have not heard of this, it's an injustice. If you have not played it, it's at a very fair price right now. Dirt cheap. if you have the ability, the means, and the opportunity, sit down and give this a go. I haven't met one person who played through this who hasn't absolutely fell in love with this story. And I know all types of people. I know gamers on all aspects of the rainbow. All. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining me here in the Game Dojo. I wish my face was better, but I love and I am enthusiastic when it comes to great games, because we need to show these companies that this is what we want. This is what we love. This is why we are here. Because most of the companies nowadays, they don't get it. They're giving us what they think we want. This is what we want. Give us a great story, a great, beautiful, graphically impressive story to sit back, chew on, and relax and become part of our lives. It's escapism. Take us away from our lives, our pains, and our struggles for just a little bit of time and experience something above us. That's Detroit Become Human in one phrase. Experience this game. You need to. From the Game Dojo, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, the Game Ninja. I'll check you guys later.